We have been watching this show for decades, and what they are doing right now is pushing me to the absolute edge of my sanity. I mean, seriously, ladies, grab your pearls and hold on tight, because the latest developments with the WSB are completely off the rails. Z has officially made his move, and I am screaming at my television. He actually recruited Valentine and Josslyn as a team. Yes, you heard me correctly. Josslyn, a college student suddenly playing spy games with seasoned international operatives. It is a complete mess. Carly must be having a total meltdown somewhere, and frankly, so am I. How are we supposed to buy this sudden career change without losing our minds? Let us talk about that briefing scene because my blood pressure is still through the roof. Z calls Valentine and Josslyn into his top secret office, looking all smug and authoritative behind that massive desk. And what is their very first official mission together? Is it a simple reconnaissance job? Is it rescuing a hostage? No. Z tasks them with hunting down the two most dangerous, elusive villains currently breathing in our beloved town, Jens and Ross. These two psychopaths are at the very top of the WSB priority most wanted list, and Z is sending a teenager and a former villain to bring them in. But here is the kicker, ladies, and this is where I started yelling at the screen. Z makes it absolutely, unequivocally clear that Jens and Ross must be captured alive. Alive. After everything they have done, after all the terror they have caused, Z wants them breathing. Am I the only one who thinks this is a terrible idea? Z looks Valentine dead in the eye and explains why these monsters cannot be harmed. Apparently, Jens and Ross are holding on to the most critical, earth-shattering intelligence the WSB has ever seen. We are talking about a massive global international crime syndicate. They have the blueprints to secret financial networks, offshore accounts, and the hidden identities of powerful, untouchable backers who are pulling the strings from the shadows. Z insists that if Jens or Ross takes a bullet and dies, all of those secrets die with them, and the Shadow Network will just rebuild and strike again. The stakes are astronomically high. But come on, guys, sending Josslyn into this level of danger is ruining the character arc she has built over the years. She is supposed to be focusing on her medical career or her family drama, not dodging bullets from international terrorists. For those of us who have been watching since the golden days of the 80s and 90s, this feels like a massive slap in the face. Remember when Robert and Anna were running the WSB? Remember when Frisco was out there risking his life with actual training? Those were the glory days of spy storylines. What we are getting now feels like a total disrespect to the fans who remember how a real intelligence agency operates. You do not just hand a badge to a young girl because she has impressive skills and send her after two criminal masterminds. It is insulting to the legacy. But of course, Valentine just accepts the mission with that dark, brooding look of his, and Josslyn is standing there looking way too confident for someone who has zero tactical training. I was clawing at my couch cushion. So, the hunt begins. And let me tell you, Jens and Ross are not making this easy. They know they are the prime targets of the WSB, and they are acting like cornered rats. The sheer chaos these two are unleashing is unbelievable. The writers have turned our dramatic soap opera into a cheap summer action movie. Jens and Ross split up to divide the attention of the WSB, and they start leaving a trail of absolute destruction. We are talking about massive explosions, setting up completely fake locations to throw Valentine and Josslyn off their scent, and taking innocent hostages just to buy themselves a few more hours of freedom. It is non-stop adrenaline, and while it is thrilling, it is also completely ridiculous. Every time Valentine and Josslyn get close, boom, another building goes up in flames. Or another decoy is found. But here is where the story actually gets a little bit interesting, and I have to give the writers a tiny shred of credit. As the chase drags on, Valentine and Josslyn realize something crucial. Jens and Ross do not trust each other. Oh, the paranoia is thick, ladies. There is no honor among thieves. Both of these villains are terrified that the other one's going to crack first. They are both sweating, looking over their shoulders, wondering if their partner in crime is going to contact the WSB and cut a sweet immunity deal. Jens thinks Ross is going to sell him out to save his own skin, and Ross is convinced Jens is already talking to Z. The psychological breakdown of these two villains is fascinating to watch, even if the rest of the storyline is making me pull my hair out. Valentine, being the manipulative genius that he is, sees this massive crack in their alliance and decides to exploit it. This is the Valentine we know and love. He uses his old underworld contacts to plant seeds of doubt. He makes sure whispers reach Jens that Ross is negotiating a plea deal. At the same time, Josslyn manages to intercept their encrypted messages and feed them false information. They are actively turning Jens and Ross against each other. It is a brilliant strategy to divide and conquer, but I still cannot stand the fact that Josslyn is the one doing it. Where's her mother? Carly needs to march in there and drag her daughter out by her ear before she gets herself killed playing spy. Finally, after days of this exhausting, explosive cat-and-mouse game, the climax arrives. Valentine and Josslyn manage to back Jens and Ross into a corner. They track them down to this abandoned, dimly lit warehouse by the docks, because of course, it is always an abandoned warehouse by the docks. Jens and Ross are exhausted, out of resources, and glaring at each other with pure hatred, each blaming the other for getting caught. Valentine steps out of the shadows with his weapon drawn, looking like an absolute silver fox, I must admit. Josslyn is right beside him, looking fierce. They have them. The mission is a success. They are about to slap the cuffs on these two monsters and drag them back to Z. I was literally on the edge of my seat, holding my breath, waiting for the arrest. But then, oh my goodness, ladies, then it happens. Just as Valentine is reading them their rights, the warehouse doors are blown wide open. A highly trained, heavily armed, mysterious hit squad storms into the building, and they are not there to arrest anyone. They immediately open fire, and their targets are clearly Jens and Ross. Someone out there, some massive, terrifying shadow organization has realized that Jens and Ross are about to be taken alive, and they have sent a death squad to permanently silence them. The bullets are flying everywhere. The sound design in the scene was deafening. I was screaming at my TV. It was absolute bedlam, and my heart dropped into my stomach. In that split second, Valentine and Josslyn realized the horrifying truth. The mission has completely flipped on its head. They are no longer the hunters, they are the protectors. If they want to complete Z's orders and keep Jens and Ross alive to get that crucial intelligence, they have to risk their own lives to save the very men they have been hunting. It is a heart-wrenching betrayal of their own instincts. Valentine has to throw himself into the line of fire to tackle Jens to the ground, shielding this despicable villain from a hail of bullets. Can you imagine the sheer willpower that took? Valentine hates Jens with every fiber of his being, yet he is putting his own body on the line to keep him breathing. This is insanity. And do not even get me started on Josslyn in this scene. The writers have completely lost their minds. Josslyn literally dives across the concrete floor, grabbing Ross by the collar and dragging him behind a stack of metal shipping crates, just as the wall behind them is ripped apart by gunfire. She is returning fire, covering Ross, acting like she has been in combat her entire life. I am furious. It is outrageous writing to expect us to believe this young woman is suddenly a highly trained operator, but at the same time, my heart was pounding out of my chest. The visual of Josslyn and Valentine desperately defending the two worst men in town against an unknown army of assassins was one of the most intense things I have ever watched on this network. The shootout feels like it lasts for an eternity. Valentine is barking orders, Josslyn is reloading her weapon, and Jens and Ross are cowering in the dirt, realizing that their powerful backers have completely abandoned them. The irony is just delicious, but the danger is so real. Valentine manages to shoot a steam pipe, creating a massive cloud of cover, and Josslyn uses the distraction to flank the hit squad. Seriously, when did she learn tactical flanking? Jason must have given her secret lessons in the basement. They manage to take down a few assassins, and the rest of the hit squad realizes they have lost the element of surprise and retreat into the night. The smoke clears. The warehouse is completely destroyed, riddled with bullet holes. Valentine is bleeding from a graze on his arm, and Josslyn is covered in dirt and soot, panting heavily. But they did it. They actually did it. They look over, and Jens and Ross are still alive. Terrified, bruised, and completely defeated, but alive. Valentine yanks Jens to his feet and slams him against the crate, slapping the heavy WSB restraints on his wrists. Josslyn does the same to Ross. The first major test of their bizarre, mismatched partnership is over, and they succeeded. They kept the targets alive. I was sitting on my sofa, wiping the sweat from my forehead, thinking the drama was finally over for the day. But no, the writers had one more trick up their sleeves to leave us completely agonizing until the next episode. Just as Valentine and Josslyn are marching them out of the warehouse to the extraction point, Jen stops walking. He turns his head, looks dead at Valentine, and gives this slow, chilling, sinister smile. A smile that made my blood run absolutely cold. Jens looks at them and says they should not be celebrating just yet. He laughs this dark, raspy laugh and drops a massive bombshell. Jens tells them that capturing them is just the beginning, because the person truly pulling the strings, the real mastermind behind all of this, is still out there. And then Jens delivers the line that made me scream so loud my dog ran out of the room. He whispers that the person who sent the hit squad might just be the very person signing their WSB paychecks. He is implying there is a mole in the WSB, a high-level, powerful trader sitting right there in the agency. The realization hits Valentine and Josslyn like a ton of bricks. The look of pure horror on Josslyn's face was actually incredible acting. I will give her that. They realize that handing Jens and Ross over to the WSB might be exactly what the mole wants. Who can they trust? Can they even trust Z? What if Z is the one who sent the hit squad to silence them, and the mission to capture them alive was just a setup to get Valentine and Josslyn killed too? I am telling you guys, I am physically exhausted from watching this show. The emotional roller coaster they are putting us on is just too much for my heart. While I absolutely hate the writing that put Josslyn in this position, I cannot deny that I am completely hooked to see what happens next. Who is the mole? Will Jens and Ross survive the night in WSB custody? Will Carly finally find out what her daughter is doing and burn the WSB to the ground? We have to wait and see, but I promise you, I will be right here screaming at my TV with all of you. Let me know in the comments if you are as outraged and stressed as I am.